Why does an ancient powder that costs $5 for a 50-pound bag create a mineral response in deer that a $24 commercial block cannot match at any price? Because the commercial block delivers minerals to the deer. The lime delivers minerals from the soil. And the soil has been holding more calcium, more magnesium, and more phosphorus than every mineral block you have ever purchased combined. It was just locked up in a form the deer could not access. Dolomitic lime is the key that opens that lock. The compound is calcium magnesium carbonate, chemical formula CmgCO3-2, a naturally occurring sedimentary rock that has been ground into powder and sold at every farm supply store in America for less than $5 per 50-pound bag for over a century. Farmers use it to correct acidic soil. Your grandfather probably spread it on his garden. The USDA has recommended it as a standard soil amendment since the 1930s. And it is the single most effective, longest-lasting, and cheapest deer mineral program available to any hunter willing to spend 15 minutes with a bag and a shovel. The commercial mineral companies know about dolomitic lime. They know what it does to soil chemistry. They know the deer response. And they sell you a 5-pound bag of flavored mineral for $22 instead of telling you about the 50-pound bag of the same active compounds for $5 that is sitting 30 feet away in the same store. Same principle from the 10 brands investigation video. The markup is not on the mineral. The markup is on the ignorance. I have been running dolomitic lime mineral sites on 4 properties across 3 states for the last 5 seasons, and the camera data, the deer response, and the cost comparison against commercial minerals have convinced me that this is the most underreported technique on this channel. I will walk you through the soil chemistry of why it works, the exact application method, the timing that determines whether you get results in 2 weeks or 2 months, and why most hunters who try lime get mediocre results because they use the wrong type. Stay until the end, because there is a 1-ingredient addition to the lime application that a soil scientist at Clemson University that described to me as the most effective way to create a permanent natural mineral lick on any property east of the Mississippi. Before you apply lime to the ground on any property, understand that depositing any mineral substance in the woods with the intent of attracting deer can be classified as baiting in states with strict baiting definitions. Lime is a soil amendment, not a food product, and most state regulations distinguish between soil improvement and wildlife attractant. But interpretations vary. Check your state wildlife agency website. The surface understanding of dolomitic lime and deer is that it is just another mineral, similar to a mineral block, that delivers calcium and magnesium to deer who lick the treated soil. That is partially correct, but it misses the deeper mechanism that makes lime fundamentally different from any product on the mineral aisle. A mineral block sits on top of the soil and dissolves in rain. The deer lick the block surface and consume whatever minerals are in the product, mostly sodium with small amounts of calcium and phosphorus. When the block dissolves, the minerals are gone. You buy another block. The cycle repeats. Dolomitic lime does not sit on the soil. It changes the soil. When you spread lime on acidic forest soil, which is the majority of eastern hardwood habitat where the pH typically ranges from 4.5 to 5.5, the calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate in the lime react with the hydrogen ions in the soil solution and raise the pH toward neutral, roughly 6.0 to 6.5. That pH shift triggers a cascade of chemical changes in the soil that release minerals that were already there but chemically unavailable. In acidic soils below pH 5.5, phosphorus binds to aluminum and iron oxides in a process called phosphorus fixation. The phosphorus is physically present in the soil but locked in chemical complexes that plant roots cannot absorb and deer tongues cannot detect. When you raise the pH to 6.0 with lime, the aluminum and iron release their grip on the phosphorus. The phosphorus enters the soil solution as plant-available phosphate ions. The plants growing in the limed zone absorb the phosphorus and produce higher quality browse with more protein and more mineral content. The deer eat the browse and get the minerals through the food, not through a block. Simultaneously, the calcium and magnesium from the lime itself dissolve into the soil moisture and become directly available at the soil surface where deer lick the treated ground. A Vortex cellular camera I placed on a limed site in the Black Belt region of Alabama, that strip of dark fertile prairie soil running through the center of the state, showed 34 deer visits in the first 3 weeks after application. The identical camera on an untreated control site 100 yards away, roughly the length of a football field, showed 9 visits in the same period. Same timber, same deer density, same camera model. The LIM site pulled roughly 4 times more traffic from the first week. And the critical difference from a mineral block is that the lime site was still producing at the same rate 6 months later because the pH change is persistent. A mineral block lasts 4 to 6 weeks before it dissolves. A lime application lasts 2 to 3 years before the soil reacidifies enough to need retreatment. One application. 2 to 3 years of continuous mineral availability. A $5 bag versus $22 every 6 weeks for the commercial block. Think about that math over 10 years. The commercial block program runs roughly 8 blocks per year at $22 each, which is $176 per year per site. Over 10 years, that is 1,700 per mineral site. The dolomitic lime program runs 1 bag every 2 to 3 years at $5 per bag. Over 10 years, that is roughly $20 per site. You are spending 1,700 Cs to accomplish what $20 does better, longer, and with a broader mineral profile. My Botech Revolt X cost more than a lifetime supply of dolomitic lime for every property I hunt. My Browning X Bolt cost more than 30 years of lime on 4 properties. The math is not a comparison. It is an embarrassment. And I ran commercial blocks for 12 years before a retired county extension agent in Alabama told me about lime at a farm auction and changed my entire mineral program in one afternoon. Quick pause here. Everything I just walked through, and 100 more tricks like it, is sit inside the Buck Hunter's Bible, 2026 edition. 280 pages of the stuff that actually puts deer on the ground. And right now, if you grab it, I am throwing in the 30-day opening day roadmap completely free. That is a 60-page day-by-day preseason plan that walks you from the first scout to opening morning, so you start this season ahead of every other hunter in the woods. Link in the description, QR code on screen. This is the season you stop guessing. The hidden variable that separates hunters who get strong results from lime and hunters who try it once and see nothing is the type of lime they use. There are 2 common forms of agricultural lime at the farm store. Calcitic lime, which is pure calcium carbonate, CaCO3, and dolomitic lime, which is calcium magnesium carbonate, CaMgCO3-2. The dolomitic version contains roughly 22% calcium and 12% magnesium. The calcitic version contains roughly 30% calcium and near 0 magnesium. Magnesium is the variable that matters. Most whitetail habitat east of the 100th meridian is deficient in soil magnesium because decades of rainfall have leached it from the upper soil layers. Research from Auburn University's School of Forestry and Wildlife Sciences documented that magnesium supplementation in captive deer increased antler density by roughly 8% and improved hoof wall hardness measurably compared to calcium-only supplementation. Magnesium is a cofactor in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the deer's body, including the enzyme alkaline phosphatase that transports calcium from the bloodstream into the growing antler matrix. Without adequate magnesium, the calcium cannot reach the antler efficiently regardless of how much calcium you put in the soil. A calcium-only lime delivers half the equation. Dolomitic lime delivers both. Grab the bag that says dolomitic on the label. If it does not specify, look at the guaranteed analysis for magnesium content. If magnesium is below 10%, it is calcitic. Put it back. I made this mistake my first season. I bought 4 bags of calcitic lime because it was $1 cheaper per bag and spread it on 4 sites across a property in western Stans Hills. Rolling grass prairie with sandy soil and scattered cottonwood draws. The deer response was moderate, roughly 12 to 15 visits per 3-week camera cycle, which was better than no treatment but far below what I expected based on the Alabama results. The following spring I retreated the same 4 sites with dolomitic lime. The camera numbers jumped to 28 to 35 visits per cycle, same site, same deer herd, same season timing. The only variable was the magnesium content in the lime. I called the extension agent in Alabama and described my results, and he said, "You used calcitic, did you not?" I said, "How did you know?" He said, "Because everyone makes that mistake the first time. The dolomitic is always on the same shelf. It usually costs $1 more. People grab the cheaper bag." He was right. The cheaper bag cost me a season of data and taught me to read the analysis on a bag of lime the same way I learned to read the guaranteed analysis on a mineral block from the 10 brands video. A lesson I apparently need to learn on every product category before it sticks. I lost an entire season of data and spent $20 on calcitic lime that produced mediocre results because I did not read the label. Same lesson from every mineral video. Read the label. The application is simple, but the location matters more than the mixture. Spread 25 to 50 pounds of dolomitic lime, roughly half a bag to a full bag, in a circle approximately 6 feet in diameter, about the size of a large dining table, on bare soil near a stump, a log, or a natural lick where deer already show sign of digging or licking. If there is no existing lick, create one by removing the leaf litter and exposing bare mineral soil in a spot that meets 3 criteria. Within 20 yards of a known deer trail, roughly the distance from the pitcher's mound to home plate, on the north or northeast side of a large stump or tree where shade keeps the soil moist, and at least 100 yards from any property boundary to keep the deer response on your ground. Rake the lime into the top 2 inches of soil with a garden rake. Do not just dump it on the surface. Lime sitting on top of leaves does nothing because it needs soil contact to begin the pH reaction. The calcium and magnesium carbonate must contact the hydrogen ions in the soil moisture to neutralize the acidity. On top of dry leaves, it is just white powder blowing in the wind. I dumped 50 pounds of lime on top of leaf litter my first attempt and came back 3 weeks later to find the pile exactly where I left it, untouched by deer, because no pH reaction had occurred and no minerals had entered the soil solution. The lime needs dirt. Rake it in. I carry a short-handled garden rake in my truck specifically for lime applications. My wife saw the rake in the bed of the truck next to the buck balm doe estrus and the dolomitic lime and asked me if I was starting a landscaping business. I told her I was conditioning the soil for wildlife habitat improvement. She said, "It looks like you are gardening in the woods." She was closer to the truth than she knew because that is exactly what dolomitic lime is. It is gardening. You are changing the soil chemistry to improve what grows in it and what the deer can extract from it. The difference between a hunter who uses lime and a hunter who uses mineral blocks is the difference between a farmer who builds soil and a farmer who sprays fertilizer on the surface. One approach lasts decades, the other lasts until the next rain. Look, I am going to be straight with you. Everything I am walking through in this video is just a small piece of what is inside the Buck Hunter's Bible, 2026 edition. 280 pages, 101 field-tested tricks, and right now you also get the 30-day opening day roadmap free with it. A 60-page day-by-day plan that gets you ready before the season even starts. I do not know how long that bonus stays in the deal. But if you have been watching these videos and thinking this could be my season, that is the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Make this the year. The timing determines how fast you see results. Lime needs moisture to dissolve and begin the pH reaction. Apply in spring or early summer when regular rainfall is expected. A spring application produces detectable soil chemistry changes within 3 to 4 weeks as the lime dissolves into the soil moisture and begins reacting with the hydrogen ions. By August, the pH shift has released enough phosphorus and calcium into the soil solution that deer begin investigating the site. By October, the site is established in the deer's routine. A fall application works, but the response is slower because cold temperatures reduce the rate of the chemical reaction, and winter freeze-thaw cycles can push undissolved lime particles deeper into the soil before they fully react. I applied lime in October on a property in southern Vermont, steep hardwood ridges in the Green Mountains with thin rocky soil over granite bedrock, and did not see meaningful camera activity at the site until the following May. 7 months of waiting. The same property treated in April showed camera activity by mid-July. 3 months versus 7. Apply early. Let the chemistry do the work before you need the site to produce. Look, I am going to be straight with you. Everything I am walking through in this video is just a small piece of what is inside the Buck Hunter's Bible, 2026 edition. 280 pages, 101 field-tested tricks, and right now you also get the 30-day opening day roadmap free with it. A 60-page day-by-day plan that gets you ready before the season even starts. I do not know how long that bonus stays in the deal. But if you have been watching these videos and thinking this could be my season, that is the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Make this the year. The Vermont property also taught me something about soil depth that matters for northern hunters. The thin soil over granite bedrock in the Green Mountains means the lime reaction happens faster because there is less soil volume to neutralize. But the effect wears off faster because the total buffering capacity of thin soil is lower. My Alabama black belt sites hold the pH correction for a full 3 years. My Vermont sites need retreatment at 18 months. Soil depth determines longevity. Thick soil holds the pH change longer. Thin soil responds faster but reverts sooner. My notebook shows the Vermont sites peak at roughly 6 months after application and begin declining by month 14. The Alabama sites peak at 4 months and hold steady through month 30. Both produce strong deer response during their peak window. The management schedule is just different. The condition where lime does not produce a strong deer response is on soils that are already near neutral pH, roughly 6.0 or higher. If the soil is not acidic, there are no locked-up phosphorus reserves to release. The lime adds calcium and magnesium directly, but the pH-driven mineral cascade that creates the strongest deer response does not occur because there is no acidity to correct. Properties on limestone bedrock, which is common in the Ozarks, the Shenandoah Valley, and parts of the upper Midwest, often have soil pH above 6.0 naturally. A $15 soil test from your county extension office tells you the pH in 10 days. If the result comes back above 6.0, lime will not produce the dramatic response I described. If it comes back below 5.5, you are sitting on locked-up mineral reserves that a $5 bag of lime will release for the next 2 to 3 years. The one ingredient addition I promised at the beginning is elemental sulfur. Not sulfur as in flowers of sulfur from the Grandfather's Secrets video, but pelletized elemental sulfur sold at the same farm supply store for roughly $8 per 25-pound bag. A soil scientist at Clemson University's Department of Plant and Environmental Sciences, who consults with private landowners on wildlife habitat improvement, described this combination to me as the most effective permanent mineral lick formula he has documented across 40 years of field research. Spread 5 pounds of elemental sulfur over the limed site, roughly 2 handfuls, and rake it into the same top 2 inches of soil. The sulfur serves a dual purpose. First, it is a micronutrient that deer actively seek because sulfur is required for the synthesis of the amino acids methionine and cysteine, which are building blocks of keratin, the protein that makes up hair, hooves, and the velvet covering on growing antlers. A sulfur-limed site addresses calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and sulfur simultaneously, covering 4 of the 5 primary mineral demands in whitetail nutrition. Second, the sulfur acts as a mild soil acidifier that creates a pH buffer zone at the margins of the limed area. The center of the site runs at pH 6.0 to 6.5 from the lime. The outer ring where the sulfur concentration is higher runs at pH 5.0 to 5.5. That pH gradient creates a mineralization gradient, where different minerals are available at different distances from the center. The deer do not just lick one spot. They work the entire diameter of the site because the mineral profile changes as they move from center to edge. A buddy who manages 3 hunting leases in the Black Belt of Alabama, roughly 20,400 acres of mixed hardwood and planted pine on that dark prairie soil, switched his entire mineral program from commercial blocks to dolomitic lime plus sulfur 4 seasons ago. His annual mineral cost dropped from roughly $1,800 across 24 commercial block sites refreshed every 6 weeks to roughly $120 for lime and sulfur applied once per year to the same 24 sites. His Primo cellular camera data showed a 40% increase in average site visits per cycle compared to the commercial block baseline. 40% more deer activity for 93% less money. He told me his ScentLock jacket costs more than his entire annual mineral program now. The commercial mineral companies are not going to tell you about dolomitic lime because a $5 bag of lime that lasts 2 years does not generate repeat sales the way a $22 block that dissolves in 6 weeks does. The lime is the product they compete against by not mentioning it. And it is sitting in the same store, on the same aisle, 30 feet from the camo-printed bags, with the picture of the 200-inch buck on the front. The guys who know about lime do not bring it up at deer camp, not because it is a secret, because it sounds too simple to be true. A bag of garden lime and a handful of sulfur, spread on the dirt, raked in with a garden tool. And the deer show up for 2 years, while the guy on the next lease is hauling mineral blocks in and out every 6 weeks, wondering why his camera numbers are half of yours. The soil already had the minerals. It just needed the pH change to release them. The deer knew the minerals were there because they could detect trace amounts in the soil moisture. They just could not access the full reserve because the acidity was holding it hostage. The lime paid the ransom, $5. And the deer collected the reward every day for the next 2 to 3 years, while the commercial block site 100 yards away dissolved in the rain and needed another $22 deposit every 6 weeks to keep the ATM open. The lime is not a product. It is an infrastructure investment in your soil that pays dividends in deer activity for years after the initial application. And the return on that investment makes every commercial mineral product on the shelf look like what it is. A convenience fee for not knowing what a bag of lime can do. The lime does that for $5. And now you know something that the mineral aisle hopes you never figure out.